You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.
Warrior Auburn fans, welcome to No Huddle, your source for Auburn football news and discussion, part of the E2C Network. I'm AJ Richardson, and I'm also here with my buddy, my pal, Jared Davis. It is time to talk about the Ole Miss, Rebel, Black Bear, Land Shark, Thingamabobs, whatever you want to call them. Hey, it's Halloween weekend. You can dress up however you want. I guess Ole Miss fans are going to dress up maybe as a Land Shark, maybe as a Black Bear. I don't know. What do you think about their costumes and their different ways of changing up their mascot? It's just weird to me.
Yeah, I still don't even know what they settled on. Are they the Land Sharks, or is that kind of like just what they call themselves?
It's official, but I still feel like it's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm hoping that I will say this. I'm hoping that Brian Harsin dresses up as a winning football coach at the end of it.
Ooh, so, I like it.
Yeah, that's my hope for Halloween. But yeah, I don't know. And I will say this. I do like the Ole Miss baby blue uniforms. I don't know if they wear those on the road, but I do like those. So, but anywho, that's about all I like about them.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't like a whole lot about them, but yeah, that's Ole Miss for you.
Yeah, they I don't know. They got a little arrogance about them, quarterback and coach. So hopefully we'll be able to curtail that a little bit. But we'll get into talking about that.
Yeah, I think he learned his lesson after the popcorn comment. I don't think he's going to drop any more of those kind of things in his pregame press conference. It's just not going to happen. I don't think so.
No, and he's grown up a little bit. I mean, the old Lane would have not learned from that. So he's learned some things for sure, but he's definitely got a little arrogance about him still. So yeah, let's hope we can stop that basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and you gotta know Lane Kiffin is thinking up of some fun plays to throw against Auburn, because I mean it's a number 10 versus number 18, and they're coming to our house. It's a night game. It's gonna be lots of people watching this game. You got to think he's got some plays he's ready to pull out of his bag of tricks, just to show against Auburn. I mean, I just got to think so. But I mean, he can just honestly rely a lot on what Matt Corral can do at the quarterback position. I mean, Matt Corral's almost got 2,000 yards passing already in the season, 15 touchdown passes, 1 interception, and almost 500 yards rushing. Like, he is an offensive machine. What's kind of your thoughts on Matt Corral and where even he kind of stacks up against other quarterbacks in the SEC?
Yeah, I mean, I've really had to rely on other people's opinions, and people are pretty high on him. Because I've only seen him. I saw him play a good bit against Tennessee 2 weeks ago. Honestly, from a passer standpoint, nothing blew me away. But he ran the ball. He ran it 30 times, and he kept drives alive. Now, he got banged up in that game. I don't know if that's going to be a continued. He's not a Cam Newton-sized type guy or KJ Jefferson, so I don't know if he can continue that. But he's a gamer. He kept the game alive. He's probably a little bit 3 weeks ago he's probably a little bit more accurate version of Bo Nix. Very athletic. I don't know that he's more accurate now. I don't know. The Bo we've had the last 3 weeks. We'll see if that continues. But yeah, he's dangerous. And I think he's a humongous part of their team. So yeah. They'll go the way he goes.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thinking, though. Even last week, I mean, Matt Corral didn't necessarily carry his team. He ended up just handing the ball off a lot, and that worked for him last week. But I also think if Matt Corral has a really good day, I mean, like you said, his team kind of rides with his wave of if he's doing well or not, and if somehow we can knock him off. I mean, the most recent one that I was thinking of was KJ Jefferson at Arkansas, and he's a mobile quarterback, and we were able to mostly keep him in check. And you got to do that against a mobile quarterback. Mostly keep them in check and make them beat you with the arm. And I have a gut feeling we're probably going to have a similar approach to Ole Miss as what we did with Arkansas. Keep them contained, but also, just if you want to beat us on the pass, let them, but don't let any big plays happen. So I think that's where, I don't know, if I was a defense trying to scheme against them, I'd say we'll give you the 5-yard dump off route or even a 10-yard pass every once in a while. As long as you don't get the big 50-yard gains, I think we're willing to do that. And Ole Miss also has 3 really good receivers. So I mean, they have lots of options. So you got to kind of keep your eye out for multiple guys. We can't just tee off usually on that one guy, that one receiver, where they're going to have multiple out there that can and will gash you. Auburn does open up as a 1-point favorite over Ole Miss. Does that seem about right with Auburn being at home, even though we're 18th ranked and Ole Miss is 10th? Does that seem about right to you?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think it actually officially opened as a pick'em game, and the money pushed it to 1 point Auburn. They basically give 3 points to the home team, so I guess all in all, they're still saying Ole Miss might be a little better, but I don't know that they are. I mean, I think, if you look at it, the 2 biggest wins, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, I think we each have the same team as our 2 biggest wins, Arkansas and LSU.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, Ole Miss is a very dangerous team, but Ole Miss runs into the same problem that we run into with Georgia and Alabama, in the fact that they are a very good team and they absolutely could come in here and win. But when you get fourth quarter depth and star players, rankings, that's a team that we overpower or overshadow them, kind of like we're getting done with Georgia and Alabama to us. So I think depth in the end might prove to be the difference here. But yeah, their starters are just as dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about their team a lot in the last couple of days, just because I think talent-wise, I'm not necessarily extremely scared of them, because I feel like our capability at quarterback, when Bo Nix is on, matches up with Matt Corral. Wide receivers, I mean, we've had kind of a mixed bag, but last week we had a lot of different receivers catch the ball, or I guess 2 weeks ago because of the bye week. And if we can get even, I mean, right now our receivers, it just depends on the week. So that may be kind of a difference. They seem to have 3 really good consistent receivers, and we're kind of like, it just depends. It depends on the week and what we're able to do. I did also want to talk about something else, kind of Auburn related with this game. And these are some rumors going around about face masks. Did you hear about this, Jared? About the orange potential face mask going on?
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying they've already called a face mask on us. I'm sorry. Wouldn't surprise me with SEC refs. I have heard about the potential orange something. I don't know. Orange face mask. Yeah, I think that seems to be the most rumored piece of it. So yeah, I mean, there's Harsin, he probably keeps going in there saying, let's do an orange field. And then they're like, no way it's going to happen. And then he's like, like a good negotiator, said, okay, all right, well, what about orange face mask? Mm-hmm. So you really scare them, and then you come back to what you really wanted anyways. And then they're like, okay, we'll settle for that. So right. He's changing things up, man. I like it. I think, that stuff, as simple as face mask, it just kind of gets the players and fans excited when it first happens. But then the dust settles and you settle down and play football. But it will add another element to excitement, which, it's already going to be an exciting night game against a ranked team.
Yeah. What is it? I mean, I think we've only had the orange face mask, and Clint Richardson probably knows the exact number, I think, once. It's a very minimal amount of times that we've actually had an orange face mask. And, in recent history, we really haven't done that. So I personally am fine with it because our main uniforms are still going to look awesome at home. It's just a matter of, changing some little things up. And I think that gets the players excited. I mean, fans, like you said, I think it's the, newness of it. And I don't think we're probably going to do it that often. I mean, I could be wrong, but my guess this is probably the only time if we do it, you're going to see it this game is an orange face mask in this game. I think we'd probably go back to our regular face mask after that. Let's talk about our players to watch and discuss who from Auburn's team on offense, defense, and special teams we'll be watching for this game. Jared, let's start with offense. Who are you going to be watching this game for Auburn?
Probably Landon King. I think I think he came in, and I think just his presence got all the other receivers to step up their game because I think he epitomizes what Harsin's trying to tell them. If you play well in practice, you will play in the game. And
yeah,
I don't think Landon was on anybody's radar, including the coaches in the beginning, to be playing in a game. But the way he practiced got him that position. And honestly, he played very well. He had the one drop, but it was a little high. Still should have caught it. But other than that, I think he caught 3 other balls, and it kind of got everything going. That's contagious. So I'm gonna keep an eye on him, see if he keeps up that level of performance.
Yeah, Landon came kind of out of nowhere for a lot of people, and then just showed out, and that's pretty cool. That's cool to see somebody that honestly probably was like a third stringer, and now he's getting in the rotation, which is a pretty cool thing just because of his hard work. And I think that's gonna show other players practice hard, and you'll get your shot to shine in front of the big lights in the stadium. I'm going to be watching kind of just a running back attack. I mean, I was thinking in this bye week that our run game needs almost a kind of a reset, and I'm hoping that this bye week kind of gives us that. Both, I think with the run game, it's the run blocking in front of them. Because I think if you put a good run blocking offensive line in front of Tank or Jarquez, they're probably running 100 yards a game. But we're struggling to get that push, open up the holes. And we got to get that. I think for the longevity of the season, we can't just rely on the pass like we have in the past few games. Now, Bo's stepped up to the plate. He's done his job. But we got to get that because if not, we're going to have some issues. Let's transition to defense here. Who on defense are you going to be watching for Auburn, Jared?
Mostly I'm going to be watching to see if he puts on an orange face mask, and that is Mr. Owen Pappoe, because I kind of get the impression that he probably almost could have gone in Arkansas, but wasn't 100%. They said, let's try to get through that game, give us a bye week. He'll be definitely 100% by Ole Miss. So that's the impression I kept getting. I'm hoping he's back, because if he's back, then, I mean, nothing against Chandler Wooten. He did a great job, but that to have him almost as a reserve is amazing because he could start, obviously. So I think Pappoe also is very versatile and athletic, and we're going to need to be covering some tight ends in this game. Mm-hmm. We're going to need somebody spying on Corral. So, yeah, I mean, to me, McClain is the better player, but Pappoe is a better second player to him, and I think it just increases or improves our defense.
Yeah, and I was actually going to say McClain because he did a really good job of containing a mobile quarterback like KJ Jefferson at Arkansas, and that's something that McClain knows how to do. He knows how to stop the run and essentially kind of play contain on the quarterback and force him to stay inside of the passing area where he's going to be passing the ball and not roll out so he can run. So I'm going to be watching McClain for that kind of similar reason as having Owen Pappoe back. We'll be seeing what if we end up seeing Owen. I mean, I put out a poll on our Twitter account, and Owen Pappoe was the quote-unquote biggest winner of our bye week. The others were our rush defense and just any other kind of banged up players. So by far, everybody was just really excited about Owen Pappoe, and I really hope we get him back for this last 5 games of the season.
It'll be huge.
Yeah. Let's also talk about special teams here. Who on special teams are you going to be watching?
Well, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'm going Oscar Chapman because I think in any tight game like this, and definitely, the big deal with Lane Kiffin is he goes for it on fourth down a lot. So, if you can pin him deep and make him be silly, like go for it on a fourth down in his territory that he should not, or make them just drive more. And the more plays you have to design, the bigger chance. Because Corral last year threw a lot of interceptions. He's corrected that this year, but is that because he's throwing less, because it appears he is, or has he really corrected it? So if you can make them have to drive more chances for him to throw, more chances for mistakes. So definitely looking for Oscar Chapman to be pinning them deep. I'd rather him not come in at all. Nothing against you, Oscar, but that means we're playing good offense. But he's going to come in, so I think he'll be a big piece.
Yeah, just the way I have a feeling we're going to have to punt a few times. And, I mean, we gave Oscar Chapman a lot of credit last week for pinning Arkansas deep, and then our defense took over and caused that strip sack, and where we ended up getting a touchdown out of it. And that's because Oscar Chapman had a really good punt. So I think it has to do, Oscar is such a key player. He's become really, really good. So I like that pick. On special teams, I'm actually going to be watching Demetrius Robertson. I'm going to do kickoff return just because I haven't done any kickoff return this year. So Shivers, I think Jarquez usually kind of back there. Let's see what they can do. If we end up having some shorter kickoff returns, I want to see them take some back. I don't think I've shouted them out all season. So we've had, I can't think of any like really, really big kickoff returns just because most of the kicks have been pretty long, but hey, this could be the week. Let's do it. The wind's the air's getting a little cooler. The ball isn't going to fly as far. Maybe it can happen.
Well, if they does run one back, wait to celebrate. Give it a few moments because they might call a phantom holding call.
Oh, dude, don't.
Because in this game last year, we ran one back, and Tank did, and they called holding on somebody. We've yet to see who that was on.
They still haven't identified it in the SEC
No, they still
office.
have not. They have not identified it.
Somebody
apparently held. So, you did mention colder weather, and I will say that next Saturday the high is only 61. So if you're going to that game, you probably want to plan for that because it's going to be nighttime. The high is only 61, and by kickoff, it's going to be in the 50s.
Ooh, yeah, that's some fall weather, football weather, kind of cold. And now we're getting into it. The last 5 games of the season, we're probably going to have temperatures around that same.
Hey Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
Let's also talk about our score predictions here. Preseason, Jared, you had predicted we'd win by 10 points. I predicted we'd win by 3. There was a lot of preseason hype when we were making these around Ole Miss, and for the most part, I think Ole Miss has kind of lived up to that hype of being able to compete with most every team. What's your kind of feeling now about score predictions for this game?
I am cautiously optimistic. They are a dangerous team. Corral does scare me a lot. But I do feel like if we win, it probably is by 10 still. So I still feel comfortable with that. I think, I don't know. I could be talked into us losing this game without a doubt, but I'm sticking with my 10.
Yeah, and preseason, I'd predict us win by 3, just thinking it could be a close game. But you know what? I can also see this game where we were able to stop Matt Corral because he is kind of injured. He's probably not going to be running around as much, and that makes him have to either hand the ball off, which, hey, our run defense has been really, really good this year. We're holding teams to about 122 yards rushing per game. And if we do that against Ole Miss, anything around that ballpark, I think we have a really good shot at winning. And so if we're able to stop them running the ball, man, I think we could win, like you said, 10 points or more. I think I'm going to go kind of adjust it to 7 points for myself. I think we can pull that out, kind of like a 35, 28 kind of score.
Yeah, and one thing that we have not really talked about much is, and I think it's because it's not just one guy, so it's not like, oh, we got several D linemen that are quietly having a really good year as far as sacks and pressure. And I think if Corral is not 100%, that could be huge. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think we may be in the top 5 in the country in tackles for loss. I know that probably blows people's minds. I mean, if I'm watching a game, to me it's like boom or bust. We either get him in the backfield or they get 10 yards. But, if we get enough of those in the backfield plays, Colby Wooden, I know, who's the transfer from Northwestern? He's playing well. So we got a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And Derek Hall. I mean, these guys are getting to the quarterback now.
Yeah.
And so, Arkansas is known for having big offensive linemen. I think they still do. And I think we had 3 or 4 sacks in that game on a mobile quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
we are tied for 4th in the nation for tackle for losses. The only people above us are actually Tennessee, Fresno State, and Troy.
well, and I will say the thing we got to be careful about, because Tennessee got in their backfield too. Tennessee rattled Corral, but he was able to escape, and then they didn't have a spy on him. So I think that game film helped us a ton, because we know that's a case. Stetson Bennett had a couple of big runs against us. You don't expect Stetson to do that. He can, but that's not his game plan.
Yeah.
Watching Corral do that, it's not going to be a surprise to us now. Now, whether we execute is a different story, but he will not surprise us by running.
Yeah. I think that's, since we've already seen it, I'm sure we're preparing for that. Any other kind of thoughts about the Ole Miss game before we jump over to our final segment of the day?
No, the one thing that's giving me comfort, honestly, is that I feel like for the last 5 years, Ole Miss has had a ridiculous offense, and it's always been a game of can we stop them. Now, we did have Kevin Steele, and I felt a little more comfortable with him, but, we went down there last year. They had a great offense, and Gus was, at that point was like not doing great. I didn't give us a chance, and we went down there and won at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I know it's close call and stuff, but there was other bad calls that led to it being that close. So, at home, if the last 3 games shows up, I think we win that ball game.
Yeah, and Auburn, again, is kind of similar to Ole Miss, and if their quarterback or our quarterback's playing well, it definitely transitions and carries over to all of the other players. Like, they're starting to play better. So, yeah, I mean, if Bo's playing well, I mean, honestly, if everything's like Bo's playing well, receivers are catching balls, we have somewhat semblance of a running game, we could win by more than a couple of touchdowns if we really, start moving down the field.
Yeah, I guess my main point, and then I'll end, is I think they are very similar to who they were last year. I think based on the last 3 weeks, and I know the Georgia game, you're like, what? But from Bo's perspective, it's really the receivers that caused that to be a blowout. I think based off of the progression of Bo, the receivers playing the way they did, I think we may be better right now, especially at home, than we were going down there last year. So I see them as being very similar team, more potentially a little better, and it's at home and at night.
Yeah. I definitely those are things that I've definitely thought about for this. So again, I think we have a good shot at it. If for some reason we don't come out firing like we think we have been in last few games, yeah, I mean, it could be a tight one, and could be a tight one even down to the last few minutes of the game. All right, Jared, let's transition to our last topic of the day, an Auburn fan perspective of the SEC. There were a handful of games. A lot of the SEC teams were on byes this week, just like Auburn. Alabama played Tennessee. That game was actually pretty close. I know the score by the end of it, Alabama won 52-24. It looks like it was a complete blowout up until probably around the start of the fourth quarter or into the third quarter. It really wasn't. I mean, it was a close game, and then just Alabama took over in the fourth quarter, and that was all she wrote. Alabama took over, started scoring points, and Tennessee just couldn't keep up. But I mean, this game, and I don't know about you, Jared, but watching how Tennessee, who is, I think, what are they now, like 3-3? Is that accurate? I think they're 4-4.
Yeah, I think they're 4-4.
They went into Bryant-Denny and stayed with Alabama for 3/4 of the game. And Auburn gets Alabama in Jordan-Hare this year. I mean, I think it makes me feel a little bit better about the Iron Bowl right now. Again, I think Alabama's not invincible this year, and we can beat them. And how cool would that be to finish out your season, first year under Brian Harsin, and get a win over your biggest rival? I mean, I think that says a lot. I mean, maybe even more than beating LSU down in Baton Rouge, that you win against Bama, like the Nick Saban era Bama, and you do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tennessee definitely showed, and A&M did too, showed that, you know, Alabama's beatable. Tennessee, their only main issue is lack of depth. I mean, their starters are looking pretty good, honestly. They just got to the fourth quarter and depth, you know, took over. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm still not sold on A&M. The media loves Jimbo Fisher, and so that after that win, I'm surprised they're not number one, honestly. But you know, they then went on and played Missouri and South Carolina, and those are the two worst teams in the SEC. Now, we got to go play A&M next week, and they may prove me wrong. My point of all this is I still don't think A&M's a great team, and they beat Bama. And, you know, Tennessee is not a great team. They are improving, and honestly, they were like down a touchdown going into the fourth quarter, I think, and before they threw a pick six. So, at Tuscaloosa. So, this is not the same Alabama team that basically put you away in the first quarter like they used to. I mean, we got to remember, Florida is not a good team right now. Mm-hmm. If Florida kicker can make a field goal, that game's in overtime. I mean, an extra point.
Yeah,
excuse me.
Yeah.
That's an overtime game. Who knows what happens then? So, I think this team is definitely a team that on the road, because they're young, you know, they got a young quarterback. They don't have that. They are going to struggle a little more on the road, and Jordan-Hare is not a home game for them. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. We also had Mississippi State beating Vandy 45-6, and to me, that's not really the storyline. I mean, really, it's Mississippi State beating Vandy. Vandy's absolute trash, and Vandy's 2-6 right now. In all of pretty much Vanderbilt's losses, they had 3 points. They had 23 points. They had 0 points. Like, they had another 0-point game. And this game they had 6. Like, they are struggling. And, I mean, they've got to, man, it's like, it kind of reminds me of, just because we're here in Georgia, kind of like Georgia Tech. It's going to take a while for Vandy to get back to anything that's, you know, competitive in the SEC. But, hey, Mississippi State, credit to them. Their quarterback ended up having one of his best days. I think he ended up having 4 touchdowns. Really, really good for him. But I also wanted to point out, and this is, you know, I feel like reporters love to ask Mike Leach funny questions. And he was asked about candy corn. And he was essentially asked, like, why don't you like candy corn? And he was just like, I just don't like it. It's the worst candy ever. And then he went on this like minute rant about all the different candies that he loves. And you're like, this is classic. I love Mike Leach. Like, so good.
Yeah, he's a good one. He's definitely a good one to interview. And just, I saw the rant. I didn't fully listen to it. It did start a debate of, do people like candy corn? And I was surprised the amount of people that don't. I do like candy corn, and the pumpkin version is the same candy. It's just a pumpkin version, and I like it. So apparently that is not necessarily the popular opinion in America. What do you think about candy corn?
I've personally liked it. Have you ever had I think they still make it, the candy corn that's kind of chocolate flavored? Like part of it's chocolate.
I have not actually. I don't think.
Those I think are my favorite because it's like it's that same texture and I personally like it. I even like the regular one, but like the chocolate just kind of takes it over for me. I really like those.
I mean, a totally different holiday. I will say the one that's super overrated and just really tastes terrible to me are the Peeps that you get on
Easter.
Those are terrible. But candy corn to me it's a solid candy. Yeah. So, but it's one of those that's served in a bowl. I'm a germaphobe. People put it in a bowl and everybody's reaching in. So definitely with the times we're in now, I might be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. Give me my personalized package of candy corn. You'll be fine. But...
Yeah, I need a personal for each individual candy corn. I need a Ziploc.
I'm imagining like Tootsie Rolls, like those kind of containers, like little wraps around them. But just for candy corn, that would be hilarious to me.
That's solid.
That'd be
Let me ask real quick. I know
such a pain to open up those.
It would be a pain. While we're on it, and then we'll get out of here because we're boring these people probably. But what is your favorite candy?
Oh, easily Reese's, and like particularly like the Christmas tree Reese's or like the non-traditional like the cup. I mean, I like the cup ones, but any kind of like around Halloween they usually have like the pumpkin shaped ones or the bat shaped ones. Give me those all day. I will eat those up. It's just like the perfect amount of chocolate to peanut butter ratio.
So you're the one they do that for. I was like, why
Probably.
do they do all these different, like, I'm like, they really sell more of them? And then I see a picture of you at Walmart, like, just hoarding them all. So they did it for AJ. The marketing got him.
They got me. That's
my wife's
sure.
favorite is Reese's as well. So.
Yeah. So we've already kind of hit on this a little bit, but Ole Miss did beat LSU 31-17. Matt Corral played a little injured, but ended up still being able to play well enough to get the victory for Ole Miss. Any other thoughts about that one?
Nah, I think we kind of hit on it. Let's just prepare for them, and we know what they're going to be bringing with the running pass attack, and hopefully we can get a victory.
Yeah, and then Arkansas beat Pine Bluff, which whoop-de-doo. They beat them 45-3. They beat another state college in the state of Arkansas, so yeah, that's good for them.
Interestingly enough, apparently that was the first time they've played a team in Arkansas since like 1940 or something.
Whoa!
It was something ridiculous. I was like, that's shocking.
Wow. I mean, maybe I'm an Auburn fan and I'm just so used to us playing in-state teams like Alabama A&M or something, but. That's pretty shocking, honestly.
I guess maybe they don't have a lot of school. I don't know. Alabama's got several kind of lower tier football schools, so maybe they don't have that in Arkansas. I don't know.
Maybe
Arkansas is the lower tier. Kidding. I'm kidding, Arkansas fans. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then Texas A&M beat South Carolina 44-14. I think Texas A&M kind of they're making their way back up in the rankings. They'll make it. I mean, if they continue kind of with their trajectory, I mean, they've got we're playing them next week after we play Ole Miss, but then they got to play Ole Miss themselves. So they've got a couple really tough matchups coming up ahead of them, and then they finish out with LSU, which they should be able to beat LSU this year. Unless LSU somehow wants to win in their final game and just, plays their heart out for Coach O or something crazy.
If the game is in Baton Rouge, will Jimbo just stay there or will – I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't think he takes that job, but I actually hope he does. I'm not sold on Jimbo, so I hope that's the guy they go get. But
that would be awesome.
Yeah, that way they don't. I don't want Lane Kiffin with LSU weapons. If I'm being honest.
Gosh, no, dude. If Lane Kiffin somehow finds a way to find to be the LSU head coach, God help us all. Like,
yeah, I mean, you give him the thing that's been missing there up until 2019 was having a legit quarterback and an offense. They've always just had ridiculous defense and athletes, and then they found Joe Burrow and an offense that was in the 21st century, and you saw what happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would scare me for him to be there, but
yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yep, same here. I mean, the way he runs an offense, he just got to find a somewhat competent defensive coordinator that can use, honestly, what LSU already has. And Lane Kiffin at LSU could just be, a pretty dominant. Really, and also think about this: LSU pretty much just locks down the state of Louisiana. So it's not like he's got to go recruit a ton of extra players on top of that.
You don't even have to recruit. I'll say this: I would have never thought Dabo was an option, but I think Clemson fans are getting frustrated with him. They lost again this weekend. I still don't think it's possible, but I think it's more possible this year than it would have been if they were winning.
Yeah. And then even Penn State losing.
Oh, man,
and how many? 8, 9 overtimes? Crazy.
AJ, we got to talk about that game.
Let's talk about it.
That game went to 9 overtimes. I didn't see it. I was coaching my son's soccer. It went to 9 overtimes. The final score was 20-18. 9 overtimes, 20-18.
If you told me that even that was a regular score game, I'd be like, there were not many points scored. Or regular 60-minute game, 9 overtimes, and you only score that many points.
I will say, in fairness, apparently at the third overtime now, or is it after the third, you basically go for 2. So they just weren't getting the 2. But still, you have 2 or 3 overtimes to get points, and all they got were field goals. And I don't even know if they made the field goal. I think they both missed one time. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Man.
That was not a good resume builder for Franklin if he wants the USC or LSU job. Right.
And I saw some discussions around, this is like the perfect scenario. I think it was a perfect storm, honestly, for a bad overtime, sequence. Because in reality, most overtimes only go to 1, 2, or 3 overtimes. And it's after that, they determine who wins. And yet this game just kept going on and on and on. It was just oh man, brutal.
Yeah, it was bad. It was 20 points in 9 overtimes. Not good. Not good.
All right, Jared, before we get out of here, how can the people stay in touch with you?
You can find me on Facebook under my name, Jared Davis.
And you can find me on Twitter at AJAY_. It's always great to be an Auburn Tiger and War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.